students, welcome you all to my channel Economics is Interesting. Today we are going to see another topic from unit number 1 Telangana Board of Intermediate Education syllabus, that is features of developing economy with special reference to India. Let's get started. So let's get started with the characteristics of developing economy with special reference to India. Now before starting this, the characteristics of developing economy, the students who have missed my previous video where I have explained the meaning of developed and developing economy both, they can go back and refer that video for better understanding of this topic. And the second thing I just want to tell all the students is that coming to the weightage of this answer, it is very important question, that is the features of developing economy with special reference to India as far as Telangana Intermediate Board is concerned. This answer has been asked many times in 10 marks, and if you are perfect in this answer, you can easily score 10 out of 10. So without wasting much time, let us start the explanation of the characteristics. The very first characteristic of developing economy is low per capita income. Now coming to the meaning of per capita income, it is nothing but the average income that an individual earns or a citizen earns within a country in a duration of 1 year. That is what is called per capita income. And when we see the per capita income of the people of the country, that is India, we find they have low per capita income. Let us see what is the information given here. According to the IMF, International Monetary Fund, they have generated a report in which India's per capita income was $1,983, and when you check the ranking, at what rank does India stand in the rankings given by IMF? So India stands at 140 position out of 188 countries. What happens here when the per capita income is low? The main problem when the per capita income of an individual is low, that is the standard of living of the persons will be low. That means persons will not be able to purchase all the things which makes their life better, which makes their life easier, which makes their life more comfortable. So their standard of living tends to be low when they have low level of income with themselves. A large portion of population have income level much below the average. If you check the income level of the people, most of the people in India, you find they have low amount of income, right? Now the next is, due to the low level of income, the efficiency of the labor is also low. That means when the labor is provided with a meager salary or with a low amount of salary, if you pay them less, then the efficiency or the quality what you demand in the work, you will not found. You will not be able to find that because you are paying them in a very meager way. So that is what the per capita income, which is very low in a developing economy, that is India. Now the next one is the predominance of agriculture. Now when you see all the three sectors, that is the secondary sector, service sector, and also the primary sector. Now when you see India, you can observe that India has large amount of people who are dependent on agriculture for their source of livelihood. Now from the previous years, people have learned how to do agricultural activities from their fathers and forefathers, and that is how made them dominant in this sector. Let us see what is the information provided here. One of the fundamental features of India as a developing economy is that it has predominance of agriculture. That means from our forefathers and grandfathers and ancestors who have actually learned the practices how to do farming and agriculture, etc. We find that they were expert in doing that. Next, the contribution of agriculture to national income is about 19%. Now, when you see these statistics, it has decreased. Previously, it was more than 70% that people who were actually dependent on agriculture, and the amount of contribution to the national income of agriculture was also high. But considerably, this has decreased in the present scenario now. And it provides employment to over 60% of the population. Now, when you can see still most of the villages where people doesn't have any other source of income, or people doesn't have the enough amount of money so that they can educate themselves, they actually tend to continue what their fathers have taught them, what skills they have learned from their fathers and grandfathers, and they continue to be a part of the agriculture sector. The technology used in agriculture is traditional in nature, and modernization is slowly taking place. There are most of the farmers who still depends on monsoon rainfall. Water is required for the fields or the crops to grow properly, and still there are farmers who actually depend on natural rainfall to come. They don't have artificial arrangements in the form of irrigation by way of bore wells, tube wells, or sprinklers. They don't have any other alternate arrangements. So the modernization in agriculture has not come drastically, but it is slowly taking place. It is coming slowly. So the third characteristic feature of developing economy is capital deficiency. That is pretty simple. When the people doesn't have huge amount of income lying in their hands, when they don't have huge amount of savings within themselves, when people are not literate in more number, then you find there is low amount of capital deficiency. People doesn't have good amount of income abilities, and because of which they have deficiency in their capital. Let us see what is given here. The low level of income results in low level of savings, obviously, which result in low level of capital formation. When there is no amount of income which is required, which is slightly higher than the required level where you can save, then there is no level of capital formation you can go for. For want of capital, other resources like labor and natural resources remain unutilized. So what happens here is that when you actually require capital, laborers are not utilized to the fullest. And if they are utilized, they are not paid to the actual pay scale. What the laborers should be paid actually are not being paid in most of the employments. And the natural resources, what you actually get it from forest as a gift of nature, that is not being utilized to the fullest. If you use it to the fullest, then you can generate good amount of money out of that also. The next characteristics, that is technology backwardness. In most of the areas, if you actually see, we find that we are backward in terms of technology, because when you see the production areas, India is a country which mostly depends on labor oriented kind of production. They don't go for capital oriented production, because if men are replaced with machine, then most of the people remain unemployed. This is one of the problem. And on the other hand, the problem is if they don't go with the technology, then they have to remain backward. If they think about providing employment to all the people, then they may stand back in terms of production. So there is a challenge which thing to actually opt it, whether they should go for capital oriented method, or they should go for the labor intensive method. So most of the people are unable to go with the technology, and that is why this came as one of the characteristic. Now, in large parts of almost all sectors of the Indian economy, technology used in production is backward. Advanced technology is in use in a few industries only. So industries uh, are using the technology, but very few of them. The next is inadequate infrastructure. Now, when you come to the infrastructure facilities, the most focused areas are the electricity, that is the power, the transport, communication. If these three facilities are provided in perfection, then you call them thus, that is the infrastructure is in a proper way. However, there are a lot of things that are actually included as a part of infrastructure. It is a very wide term which includes many things here, but mostly these are the essential ones: power, transport, and communications. These facilities are essential for industrial development of the country. Now, when you actually check the development of the industry, you require these three things: power, electricity is required, transport, obviously it will be required, in communication. So these three things are the essential or the vital things that are required for the industrial development. These facilities also affect the development of agriculture. Obviously, when you are actually producing something, you also get a raw material. You also require a raw material. So you get the raw material from agriculture. Suppose you are a manufacturer of a furniture. You have a furniture industry. You actually take big log of woods and transform it into a chair, wood, door, or any other thing. So you require wood and you get that from agriculture. So development of agriculture and development of industries both are essential here. But for the development of industries, agriculture development is very, very essential in certain things. Now coming to the next, high rate of population growth. When you actually check the population of India, then most of the people, almost all of us know that we stand second in terms of population, next to China. So it is high rate of population growth is being observed in India. As per the statistics of January 17th, 2019, the population of India is 1.36 billion. So there is large amount of people who are actually existing in India, which is making India a second most populated country in the world. So that is the high amount of population. When the population is more, it creates problem for the country to provide employment to all the people, to provide food to all the people, right? To provide income facilities to all the people, and to provide all the things that makes the life of the citizens easier. It is very challenging for any government to control and provide all the facilities to all the population of the country. A high growth rate of population puts additional pressure on resources. Now, when population is increasing, but the land is not sufficient for the people to live, if this problem arises, then it is going to be a very problematic situation for the nation. That is the reason why most of the people, and I pardon, that is the government is actually initiated few programs, that Hum Do Hamare Do, in order to cut down the population. The government have taken an initiative that it is only 2 children that are good for the development of that individual family and also for the development of the nation. But this thing will be followed and this thing will be understood only by those people who are literate, who are educated. Now coming to the next, it is high illiteracy rate. That is, when you actually see the illiteracy, that is the amount of or the percentage of people who are actually uneducated in India, you find that India has illiteracy rate of 26.8% of adults. That is still 26.8% people who form adult, that is 18 years above, are uneducated. India constitutes to be the home to 313 million illiterate people, out of which 59% of them are women. Now, 313 million people are there who are actually illiterate or uneducated in this country, that is India. Now, out of which 59% of them are females here. Now, you know the tendency or the belief or the thinking of the people in the society or men in the society that women should be confined to four walls. They should not go out to actually study, transform themselves. Few of the places in India still believe in this way. But the government have come very strong in this, and they have started a policies like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. And when you actually see the Telangana government in launching the or supporting the girl child, it is like when the girl is born, they have actually given a scheme specially for girls with the name Bangaru Talli. So it is girl education has been given more importance because when you see the literacy percentage of girls, it is very low. So coming to the next, high infant mortality. That is when you see the infant is nothing but the newborn babies. The newborn babies death, if you actually see, that was more in previous year because there was no proper amount of medical facilities that were provided to mother and children, because our country was going through a period at that time where we have not good amount of national income reserves, and we were not having any kind of resources that we can actually buy the technology from other countries in medical field. So India faced a lot of problems at that time, and a lot of infants used to die. Let us see the statistics what we have now. The number of deaths of infants of less than 1 year of age per thousand live births in India is very high. Now, when you take the infant mortality rate topic and if you want to study that, when you take the 1,000 children in your hand as the data of those statistics of those 1,000 children, and you see out of 1,000 how many of them are actually dying, right? So you have taken a sample. So when you see the sample out of 1,000, how many of them are alive and how many of them are dying? If the death rate is high of the newborn babies, you call such study or you call such concept as infant mortality rate. Now, when you see that it is very much high in India, it was very much high, but it has been decreased now in the present scenario. The infant mortality rate of India in 2019 was 30 deaths per 1,000 live births. That has decreased from 200, 300, 400. That has been reduced from triple figures and it has come to double figure now. That is 30 deaths per 1,000 live births, a 3.36 decline from 2018. That means if you compare the data of 2019 and 2018, the technology has worked more rigorously and they have produced good results, and they have saved more live births of children, and the percentage is 3.36% less when you compare to 2018. The infant mortality rate of India in 2018 was 32 deaths as per 1,000 live births. So here it was 30 deaths out of 1,000 live births in 2019, and here it is 32. So there is a change in the statistical data if you actually observe here. Last is joint family systems. In India, most of the places people prefer to live in joint families here. That is, families prefer to live together even if this may mean having low level of living. However, nuclear family systems are being observed now. The problem in India from the previous days was people used to live in joint family, but I'm not saying that living in joint family is a problem. But here, out of the 20 or 15 people who used to actually stay there, there used to be only one person who used to earn out of all those people. And all the other 10, all the other 15 who are actually the family members used to depend on that single person there. So that was something problematic for the family, for their survival. They are unable to fulfill all their needs. So government have started giving the initiatives. Government have conducted many family planning programs in which they have shown the advantages or merits of what are the advantages if they have nuclear family, that is nothing but small family. If they have, how better they can get the facilities, how better they can manage their life, how better you can live your life without having complications in any department. So that is being understood by the people now, and they are slowly following the small family is a better practice. So that completes the characteristic features of a developing country, especially when you actually refer this in India. So hope this topic is very clear to you all. So that's it for today. We'll see you all in the next video of same unit number 1, Telangana Intermediate Syllabus. Thank you, students. Thank you once again.